Hi, this is Bob Nightingale with Datum One. Today's fun project is working with Excel Visual Basic for Applications. And today we're going to make an Octordle trainer. This spreadsheet will help you practice your skills for the game Octordle. I've broken this presentation out into two parts. The first part today is the layout of the spreadsheet. This creates the tabs, the buttons, the drop downs, the grids. The second part of this presentation is the actual Visual Basic for Applications code that goes into the spreadsheet and makes everything work. Before jumping into the spreadsheet, let's take a look at what is Octordle. Octordle is a game much like Wordle, but you play 8 words at a time. You can play this game at the Britannica.com website, or you can download an app to your phone. I've been playing this for quite a while now, and I find it a lot of fun. If you match a letter of a word, it turns green if it's in the current position. If it's in some other position, the letter turns yellow. And then once you guess all 8 words, you win. The other question is, why am I using VBA to do this application? Well, Visual Basic for Applications has been around for a long time. It comes built into Microsoft applications, especially those that are in the Office family of applications. VBA is mostly basic, which was invented in the 1960s and was shipped on most personal computers in the 1980s. It's one of the first computer languages that I learned. I've been using VBA on many projects where I needed a quick data application with push buttons and drop downs. I've done things with it such as connect to external databases and use it for data entry. But the bottom line, it still works and it's going to be around for a long time. What you see on the screen is the finished product of our exercise here. You'll get a spreadsheet with all 8 words displayed and your guesses. You'll see that there's 14 guesses. The standard Octordle game only lets you guess 13 times. The green, of course, is when you guess a word that's in the correct position. Yellow is you've guessed a letter in that word that's out of position. And at the bottom, along the bottom, you'll see that there are scores for how many guesses it took to guess that word correctly. You'll have the list of the remaining letters in the alphabet that you have not used. And on the screen, you'll see there is a reset button to start the game over. If you scroll down, you'll see a hint button, which will give you hints on the words you haven't solved yet. So what you do on this part of the screen is you pick one of the words that you haven't completed yet and click the hint button. Behind the hint button is code that will look at the word list and trim it down based on the letters you've used, which positions they were in, and so on, and say these are the possible words that could go into the guesses column. And this, after a while, you'll get good enough where you won't have to hit the hit button so often. So this project, I'm going to give step-by-step instructions of recreating the Octordle Trainer spreadsheet. On the first sheet, you'll have 3 active X controls. There'll be 2 buttons and 1 combo box for the drop-down. There will be 3 worksheet tabs. So you have the guesses tab, the answers tab, and the word list tab. Now, if you don't want to type in all this code, you can go to my GitHub page, download it, and just follow along as I give you the explanation how to do all these steps. Well, what do you need to get started? First thing you need is a Windows PC. I wrote all this on Windows 11 Pro. You need to get Excel or subscribe to Office 365. I have a subscription. That's pretty easy for me. The buttons use ActiveX, which is not allowed on the web version of Excel. So you have to run this on a PC or a server or a virtual server, something that supports the ActiveX controls. So the first thing you need to do is to create a blank workbook. And you just open up Excel, see a blank workbook, and you click where you see that green rectangle and you'll get a new workbook. If that doesn't work for you, then you need to get some help someplace else. But we're going to continue on with this project. Once you've created your blank workbook, it should look like this. But what you're going to need along the top is a developer drop-down so we can get to the Visual Basic code and our ActiveX controls. In order to add the developer drop-down, you need to go to File and find Options, click on that, and then go to Customize Ribbon. And then you need to look into that second column for developer and check that. Once you've done that, click OK to continue. Now that you've done that, you have a developer drop-down on the ribbon. And if you look in the middle, under controls, you can see that you have an insert button. Actually, it's an insert drop-down, which will get to the ActiveX controls, and you have view code. Those are the two most important things that you need to get to on this page. Next thing we need to do is add 2 more worksheets. So click on the plus sign to add sheets 2 and 3. In order to work with the code as it's been designed, we need to rename the worksheets to guesses, answers, and word list. And spelling is important. So on each of the tabs, you right click on the tab that says sheet 1, sheet 2, or sheet 3. Click on rename and type in guesses, answers, or word list. Before we go further, you need to save your Excel file. You need to save this as an Excel macro enabled workbook, and to do that you go to File, Save As, choose the option More Options so you can put it into the correct directory. Make sure you save the correct file type and name it something that you can remember. I have a file already in the directory Octordle trainer, and I'm going to name this OT_new for this new project. So let's start with the guesses worksheet. In cell C1, you need to type word 1. In cells B2 through G2, type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for each of the 5 letters. And just to get our spacing correct, let's type A, B, C, D, E. And we want to highlight those columns. Just take your mouse and highlight columns C through G, and right click and click width and select 2 so that they're all a bit narrower than you started with. And when you're done, it should look like this. So you need to do the same process for words 2 through 8. So go ahead and copy word 1 to word 2 and word 3 and word 4 and so on all the way out to word 8. You want to highlight the columns from H out to AP and make sure those are also set to width of 2. And you should get your screen looking like this. Now we're going to set up the guesses column. So in A2, type try and then £. In B2, type the word guess and number the cells from A3 down to A16, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 14. In cell A17, type the word score with a colon. In order to type in the guesses range while the spreadsheet is protected, those cells have to be unlocked. So what you do is you highlight the range B3 through B17, right click and select Format Cells, and then go over to the Protections tab and click Lock to take away the check mark for locked, and then click OK. Now we need to lay down the grid lines. So select the areas from A2 to AP16, go up to Home, Borders, and select Outside Borders. Now select the area from C3 to AP16, go to Home, Borders, and then All Borders to make sure that each of those cells has a grid around them. And then you need to select just the area underneath word 1 from C2 to G16 and make a thick outer border around that one. And then you repeat that process for words 2 through 8 of selecting the cells below word 2 and then also doing that home, borders, thick outer border. So you have this nice rectangular thick border all the way across. So now we're on a roll. Let's keep going. So starting with cell H19, you type in the words remaining letters with a colon, and then you go to down to D28 and type word with a colon, and below that, and cell D30 type hint list, and then select the cells from D30 through L30 and go to Home, Borders, Bottom Border, so you put an underline under those cells, and then select cells Q19 through AP19, and that's where we're going to have the letters in our alphabet. So just highlight those cells and go Home, Borders, All Borders. There I show that the alphabet is already typed in. You don't need to. That's going to happen later. But if you want to, you can, for spacing or to see your handiwork, you can always type it in. It's going to get overwritten later. So next we go to the Answers worksheet. Click on the Answers tab and then select cell A1 and type in word 1, then go to the next cell and type word 2 and then word 3 all the way to cell H1 where you have word 8, and then in cell I1 type the word solved. So this step is tricky, and after I wrote up this cell of all the steps of how to do this, you find the 2,309 words that make up the Wordle dictionary. You download it. The PDF file, use a PDF to text converter and do that and make a text column that you put into the word list spreadsheet. The much quicker way is to just go to the GitHub page that I showed earlier. Just download the text file and then you can paste it in. Either way, you need to get a word list together of the words that you can guess for this project. Well, however you got the word list, you need to paste it in the cell A3 and below. And you need to then highlight all the words and type into that drop down that probably has A3 in it and type in word list so you can name that range. And again, if you don't want to go through all the steps that were listed in the previous slide, just download the wordlist.txt file from the GitHub site, and that makes things much easier. If you want to go through all the steps, I got the words from puzzlebay.com. They've got a lot of puzzles there, and they were kind enough to have this list of words somewhere on their website. So we're going to go ahead to the Answers worksheet. Click on the Answers tab, select cells A2 through H2, and you want to name that range Answer Words. And then you select cell I2, type a 0 in it for its value, and then name that one cell range Solved. Now if you make a mistake with any of these named ranges by misspelling or getting the wrong number of cells in that range, you can just go to the name manager, and you get there by just typing in the search name manager and then clicking on the icon, and it'll bring up menu of how to change the ranges and the names of the ranges. So there you go. So now we go back to the main guesses tab on the worksheet. There you select cells B3 through B16. You want to name that guesses. You want to select the range D31 through D10,031, and that's going to be our hint list. And that's you just highlight and keep scrolling down to the bottom before you type in hint list there in the type in area in that combo box. Then you select areas, range area Q19 through AP19, and that's where we're going to have the remaining letters. You just name it letters. Select the range E17 through AN17. That's going to be the scores that are below each of the words. In cell B17, you want to type the formula equal sum, open paren, scores, close paren. And what that does is it sums all the scores that are below the words. In cells C3 through AP16, that's a lot of cells. That is where you are going to have the word matches, and that first line is where you have all the ABCD, and so on. And then when you're finished, your list of named ranges should look like what you see on the screen. Now we're going to add some buttons to the screen. So you go up to the developer drop-down and look for your ActiveX controls, and you should see the first icon under ActiveX to the left, and that's your command button. So you click on that, and then you draw a rectangular button across cells A19 to B21. Now what you want to do is change the name of the command button that we created. So you right-click on the button, select Properties, and on the line that says Name in parentheses, you want to type the word Reset, and a few lines below that where you see Caption, you want to change that to Reset, so what's printed on the button is the name of the button. You want to do the same steps for the next button, so go back to your ActiveX controls, create a button between cells A28 and B30, and change its name and caption to hint. The next ActiveX control you want to put on to the worksheet is a combo box. And so you do the same thing you did for the other ActiveX control. You go to Developer, Insert, but this time you select the combo box icon. And then you draw the combo box from G28 to K29. Right-click on the combo box to bring up the properties. Rename the combo box hint word. Right-click on the combo box and select combo box object edit. And then in the combo box, put in the value word 1. Congratulations, you've made it through the easy part. You've now set up the worksheets and some of the buttons and the cells and some of the formatting that you need to have in order to begin coding. And some stuff that you've done that's really important is properly naming all the objects so that the code that I step through in the next presentation will be able to marry up with those objects and actually do something. So a few things that you're going to see in part 2 is that it will be code for all the buttons in the drop downs. It'll have the steps to reset the game, check if the words are on the word list, sets green and yellow cells, keeps score, and detects the end of the game. So it's not conceptually very difficult, it's just a lot of steps. And hopefully as I go along, you'll get to see some of the techniques of using Visual Basic for applications like loops and addressing cell ranges and doing some error checking. So we'll see you with the next video. Oh, by the way, in addition to the YouTube channel, I have a Facebook group which also shows my fascination with component electronics and eventually making my own computer. You can go there. Also, it's called Datum One. And with that, I will see everyone at the next video. Thanks.